Welcome to Black Girls Unmasking. I'm Tamika, and on this channel, I help Black neurodivergent women navigate life and work on their terms. And today, we're going to be talking about what it's like to be a Black neurodivergent woman in corporate and how they expect more of our silence than our truth. Let's get into it. So, in a previous video where I talked about my childhood as well as education experiences, you can check for the links of those videos below. I dig into how those experiences played into my unknown neurodivergence at that time. Well, the misunderstandings, the masking, feeling unsupported, that didn't just disappear when I went from childhood to adulthood. As a matter of fact, it carried right into my adulthood and walked right into corporate America with me. So I want to talk about what those experiences were like navigating corporate America as a Black neurodivergent woman. And I want to give you some tips that you can use in your current corporate career or in your next one. Number one, be cautious of inclusive spaces. And I would say inclusive because in my experience of working well over 10 years in corporate America, here's what I found. The spaces that were supposed to be inclusive, I found the experiences to be much worse than those that were full of ableism, misogyny, and racism. It was the folks, the organizations that said that they were for us that I witnessed, in my opinion, to be the most harmful. So here's my motto for those spaces, those workplaces that say they're inclusive: believe what they do, not just what they say. So remember when Dr. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time? I need you to take that and attach it directly to what you see happening in corporate America. In those spaces, on your job, whether it be virtually or in person, take all of that as factual information for what you're seeing, regardless of what they're saying. What I found in my experience as an HR leader and executive coach was most leaders really didn't want to see difference. They didn't want to facilitate change, but they wanted me to teach them how to be inclusive while still holding on to that racism, misogyny, and ableism. Real talk. Number two, be careful who you open up to. So that certain someone who witnesses leaders who are toxic and terrorizing organizations, just because they co-sign on that with you in your one-on-one conversation with them doesn't mean they necessarily have your back. And here's what I mean by that. If you haven't personally witnessed this person openly challenging toxic behavior with leaders or other peers around them, don't necessarily consider them your ally or your friend. And don't assume you're safe. Real talk, I've seen leaders co-sign on toxic behavior behind doors with those same toxic leaders and then turn around and smile in employees' faces. I've had to coach leaders on these very things. Number three, some companies just don't want to change. Again, referring back to those companies that are inclusive, but don't actually want to do the work. An example of this would be a company wanted to consult with me. They wanted to bring me in to consult with them on some performance issues that were going on involving a neurodivergent employee. Well, when I questioned them to engage with them, because I don't just take on clients because they say they want to do the work, I actually conduct an assessment and evaluation for myself to determine, are they really ready and willing to do the work? Because we don't do performative allyship here. So in this particular instance, the more information I collected from this company, the longer the conversations, the more I realized that this company in particular was trying to just protect themselves. They were already anticipating things were going to go left with the employee, and they wanted to consult with me to CYA so they can cover themselves should this go to a higher level of action, meaning legally. And I smelled that coffee and that tea, and I said, no, thank you. No, sir, no, ma'am. No, thank you. You won't be using my face to do that. And I walked away from that engagement because we don't do performative allyship over here. So I'm telling you this so you can be aware that just because companies are bringing in organizational psychologists, executive coaches, they may even be bringing in clinical psychologists or partnering with those companies to show on the surface that they're doing something, when at the very least, they could be just using these resources as band-aids when really they have no intention on changing the deeper issues within. And this last one may feel a little bit strange and it may hit a little bit different. But here's what I know. And for some of you, it may even confirm what you're already feeling. Those ERGs are not automatically safe. Now, if you don't know what an ERG is, an ERG is short for an employee resource group. You have some other names that they will be referred to as well. But here's what I found in those ERGs, that oftentimes they're just a band-aid, they're very surface level. And companies, there's nothing that companies won't do that ultimately has a benefit for them as well, not just the employee. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. I've turned down more than one occasion to lead an ERG because it was just a band-aid to cover up deeper issues that they had no intention on solving. One specific example was a company that I was working for. I declined the opportunity to lead an ERG because they had taken an employee survey. So if you've ever taken an employee survey, it'll likely ask you questions about your experience from your onboarding to your leader, to the teams you work on, the company culture, do you feel psychologically safe? All of those things usually are inquired on one or likely more than one survey. They could be done once a year or maybe in some cases more than once a year. But this feedback is normally used for companies to really assess what are we doing well and what's preventing us from getting employees to engage even further, or what are we doing that might be pushing them out the door, and how can we change that? Because real talk, turnover of companies equals money out the door. So companies aren't doing this because they want to do the right thing or it's humane or they want to create this great experience for you. It's really a cost-cutting measure if they use the information correctly. But in this particular instance, this employee survey had all types of issues on it, if you know what I mean. Issues with racism, misogyny, ableism, you name it, there was a lot of stuff in there that had not been dealt with. And versus taking that information and strategically planning to change it, what this company was ultimately doing, their solution was to create an ERG to put a band-aid on it. They had no intention on fixing these issues. They just wanted to show employees something to say, okay, we're working on it. Clock that T. So these spaces didn't fix the systemic problems that ultimately were ingrained in this organization. So those ERGs, those ERG leaders, even though a lot of them mean well, they want to do the work, in reality, the ERG leader really doesn't have the power or the authority to make changes within the organization. They're just leading the community. So these experiences and more are why, after I got laid off, I decided I wanted to use my powers for good, specifically for Black neurodivergent women, because we have our own unique experiences in corporate that hit a little bit harder because we are unfortunately disadvantaged in many areas in corporate America without proper allies and safe spaces for us to be in. And my work is to help you all navigate that journey in your life and at work. So I'm not here to tell you how to survive. I'm here to tell you, sis, that you deserve better. And I'm here to help you figure out what that better looks like specifically for you. This is not a cookie cutter box solution for any one person. It's going to look different for all of us. So let me know in the comments, what's your workplace experience been like as a Black neurodivergent woman? Have you had to mask, code switch, or even both just to feel like you were barely surviving? Let's talk about it in the comments, because naming it is actually the start in making change. And if this video resonated with you, make sure you like it, subscribe, and then also hit that notification bell so that you know you're going to get the latest video that's going to drop. In the meantime, go ahead and check out that next video. It's actually going to be about a topic that we need to talk about even more, which led to this space being created. And I'll give you a hint. It's about whitewashing neurodiversity. I'll see you in the next video.